Hi everyone, welcome to Lights on Thunder Road. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of these, the coronavirus. Oh wait, no. This is a 10-inch 3D sphere and it has 100 pixels in it. It's made from 2 serving bowls from Walmart and is, other than being time consuming, drilling the holes is fairly easy to make. So let's get started. Some of the items that you're going to need for this project: you've got gloves so you don't cut yourself on the acrylic, a towel so you don't scratch the acrylic, either the bowl or the surface you're working on, a pair of goggles. You're going to have hot acrylic flying around from being drilled, so you don't want to get any of that in your eye. I have a glue gun and craft sticks, and these are just little popsicle sticks. I'll explain what those are for later. Titanium drill bits. Now I have 2 different sizes. One is the 29/64, which is 11.5 millimeter, and this is the size that you want when you drill wood or vinyl or anything that you want to put pixels in, because the pixel is 12 millimeter, and that's about the right size. 11.5, give it a little wiggle room so it secures itself. The other size that I use, I believe this is a 5/16. This is just for the starter hole, because after you drill the starter hole, you're going to need a step bit. And this is a kit that Harbor Freight sells, has the 2 step bits in it. I use the one on the right, and if you can see, I marked it with a Sharpie so I know what depth to go. And the depth is going to be about 1/2 inch, just under 1/2 inch. Alright, of course a Sharpie. Calipers. Just a simple pair of calipers, again, Harbor Freight, $10. This is going to be so your holes are going to line up right. I have these rubber grommets in case you drill a hole just a touch too big and the pixel wants to slip through. You can drill the hole a little bigger, stick a grommet in, and then push the pixel into the grommet, and it's secured. And we got cable ties. The other thing would be a nice drill. I wanted to use my drill press, but the way that these bowls are, there's no way to get a good, even with this knot on here, there's no way to get this secured in there and use the pressure from the drill bit. So we're going to have to do this by hand, so you want to have a good drill, nice lightweight drill, a couple of batteries, because you're going to need them. And then of course, 100 pixels. This project's going to have 100 pixels in the 10-inch ball. These are being reused from another project. You can actually make this any way that you want. There's right now 6 rows of 16, and then 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, so that's 100 pixels. I didn't want to be cutting up strings or ordering custom strings for this. 100 pixels works well. You can do 16, 14, 12 to taper off, but you're going to have adjustments in your rows, especially when you sequence it. So that's going to make things a little more difficult. So 16, 16, 16, and 2 on each half. You're going to have 50 lights on each half of this. And then of course, the bowls, which you can get from Walmart. Right now they have their summer acrylic sets on clearance. There's a whole set of small bowls, large bowls, ice buckets, serving trays. So these were $1.50 each on clearance. You might find them for $2. They're normally $5, and they're just acrylic bowls. They're about 1/8 of an inch thick, and actually as it gets to the bottom it gets thicker down here. So you're going to have a top and a bottom. Put it together. It's an almost sphere. Got a little flat top and flat bottom, but that gives you a little extra room to do other things where you can hang it, mount it, put it on top of a tree, however you want to support this on the floor. It'll sit flat on the floor. And they come in several colors: green, blue, pink, and orange. So you got your red, green, blue. They're decorative during the day and they light up at night. They don't light up the color because you're going to have the pixels facing outwards. So they're not going to light up the inside, they're going to light up on the outside. Alright, so we have our 2 bowls. I recommend getting some extras because there is a potential to crack these acrylic bowls. As you can see here, I've damaged a few of them, but I believe I've fixed the issue with the step bit. So I have made a couple extra, and this hasn't happened since, but always good to have some extra. You never know, it may fall on the floor and crack. So your first question is, how are you going to hang these? How are they going to be mounted? Are they going to sit on top of a tree as a topper? Are they going to hang from a string, hang from a pole? You know, just kind of hang freely. Are they going to sit on the ground? If they're going to sit on the ground, you may not want pixels on the bottom. There's several options of what you're going to do here. You got to figure out what you want to do, because you want to drill all your holes now before the pixels are in. So if you're going to hang it, you might want to put in a bolt, an eye bolt to hook a string through. And you get some the nuts and washers. You can drill your hole and get this mounted in here so that that's your hook for the top. You can also use a U-bolt, a little stronger, a little bigger, and you don't have to worry too much about that breaking. Plus you can stick it through a 1/2-inch pipe or whatever size U-bolt you get. You can hang them on a sturdy pipe rather than just from a rope or some other way to hang it. You can use straps. These are the 1/2-inch EMT straps, but they make the full U with the holes on each side. You just got to get some nuts and bolts to mount that on there so that you have a place to mount some sort of string or something to hold it. Like I said, if you're going to put it on the ground, you don't need to worry about that, but you have your bowls. And what we're going to do, I've got these in the background so you can see them. Got my blue, it's actually orange. I'm going to work on a green one this time. Got your two bowls. These bowls have a notch, and this is a good little guide so that when you put them together, when you put the two bowls together, that you'll have the same design on these for the lights that will join together and match up when you put the two halves together. So your rows will match up. So it has this little notch here. And I'm going to mark top and bottom. I'm also going to write pixel 1 and 2 are going to be on the top here, so 1 and 2, and then 99, 100 for the bottom pixels. And this is a template that I've made using pixel strips. So I took 8 strips, cut them 16 holes, so it's 16 inches, and then put just a little masking tape on the end here, and I joined them with just a simple screw, nut and a bolt, a couple of washers, so that this will stay together. I have a little something to hold on to when I put this on and get it set for marking. I tightened down the nut to the point where I could still manipulate these. So I moved them where all the holes, this is just touching. This is just touching. That's just a little over, but you're going to have one or two that are a little bit over. So they're just touching. They're just touching. That kind of keeps it about even all the way around. Alright, so we're going to take the template, line up the hole of the top strip with the notch, and bring this down, bring it down a little further, and wrap it under. What I do on the tape is I actually fold the edges back so there's a place to grab onto when I want to take it off. So make it even, and grab the other half of the top strip, just let it fall, wrap it under. It's nice and easy. It'll fall into place, it'll stay with the right gap. can also hold it by this if I need to. Oops. All right. All right. So now you can eye the gap. And for this one, it looks a little wider than it should be between the two, so I'm going to pull that back up and just adjust it. Your eyes know as well as the calipers. So, let's see. And of course on the top, make sure it's centered. And the ring will be centered around the top. It's going to be a little shifted, not by much. Masking tape is good so it doesn't leave residue, but sometimes it doesn't stick to itself either. It's kind of like saran wrap. So now I've got that on. And again, I'm only using these holes as a guide for the calipers. So I have some measurements. 0.9, 2.75, and 4.6, and that's what I'm setting my calipers at, so that it's 0.9 inches up from the middle up, and then it's going to be 2.75 and then 4.6. So that'll keep me about 1.75, 1.8 inches gap. The bottom settings, bottom numbers, 0.6, 1.6, 2.6, those are going to be, if you wanted to, you can make this a half matrix for text. If you can see the holes, there's 5 holes here, so this half will have 5, and actually it's only 90 degrees, so I have it going from, 180 degrees, so it's only half of this, so there's 9 rows, 9 columns, 5 rows on the top half, same thing on the bottom, 5 columns, 5 rows, 9 columns. So you're going to have 10, which is good to have words scroll across this. So if this is going to be sitting somewhere where they're not going to see the back of it, you can have words scroll across this, as well as have your designs on it. So that's an option too. I haven't made one of those yet, but I may do that. Right now I'm just making the balls with the 100 pixels in them. Alright, so the calipers got set to 0.9, close enough, 0.901, and I'm going to take my Sharpie. What I'm going to do is put this on the bottom, so line that up with the bottom, and line, hard to do while I'm trying to show it to you. So line that up with the bottom, as long as it touches the bottom, grabs the bottom, and then put the dot where the hole is for the zip tie. So it's not in the middle of that hole, but that's 0.9 inches up. The next one is going to be off as far as where I can actually put a hole. I probably pulled that one down too far. Sometimes that'll happen. So I'm just going to pick that one up and give it a little push up a little bit so I can get my caliper in there. Where there's a dot right there. And you're basically going to be drilling over these dots. And do that all the way around, and then after we get that row done, move this to 2.75 and then 4.6 and make your additional rows. And and you'll end up with this. So we have our 3 rows, 16 per row. And so we have our marks here. Now those are just going to get drilled into, so you're not going to see them. So I've pulled out a few steps here. I know I said I'd drill a pilot hole with the 5/16. Don't really need to do that with this step bit. It does have a good point on it. This one doesn't seem to shift on the acrylic as much as the big one did, because this is definitely weighted. So this one's a little easier to get in position on the holes. And when you do this, you definitely want to do one row at a time. So we're going to do top row, middle row, bottom row. Top is the thickest. Actually, the very top is the thickest when we do the top 2 holes. This is definitely thick down here, and then it gets thinner as it goes to the top of the bowl. The other thing I didn't show you was what we want to do is mark these, as I have on this one, top 1 and 2. So this is going to be pixel 1 and pixel 2. If you're not going to have a bottom, or not going to have the pixels on the bottom because this is going to be sitting on the ground or somewhere where you're not going to see the bottom, you can put 1, 2, 3, 4. You can put 4 pixels up top here and none on the bottom. So it still makes it 100. So I label this one top 1 and 2. And I have the notch on this side. Bottom, I'm going to have the notch on this side. And label it bottom 99 and 100. This is pixel 99 and 100. So you're having it hanging, you want your pixels on the bottom. So just take your step drill bit. I have it marked with the marker, and you're going to have to remark it every now and then because it does fade off with the heat of the acrylic. So I might actually do that now so I can at least eye and see where the mark is so I don't go past it. You get a feel for the step bit. You'll feel it sink in at each step, and you'll know how far you can go in. I apply a little pressure when I'm starting, and I get down to like the 3rd step on this one. As I hit the 4th, I release the pressure and kind of let it do the work. So I'm just going to get it over that mark. See all that flying? That's nice hot acrylic. It's very warm to the touch there. But it does cool down quickly and harden. If you want to get rid of any excess, you can go back into the hole. Not too much force, just kind of let it touch the acrylic and it'll fall off. The rest of it will come off by just scraping at it. You can do like 3 or 4 holes. You can do the whole row and then go back and clean it up afterwards. There's going to be a lot of acrylic that you're melting off here for the holes. So after you drill the hole, you can check and make sure the pixel fits in, and especially from underneath. So we're going to have the pixels right in there like that, sticking out. It's not going to light up the inside, it's going to light up on the outside. So you don't have to worry about the color. The color is there just for decoration. You don't have to color it. Make sure you're drilling at the angle of the bowl that you're at. So up here, you can drill at this angle. Here, you're going to drill at this angle. At the bottom, you're almost 90 degrees, but not quite. So definitely drill at the angle so your holes are straight. just go back and clean up the holes. You can do it by hand at the end if you need to. And all the melty stuff. Alright, so alright. So there's 100 holes. Sorry, 48 holes. There's 96 holes. Alright, to make your top and the bottom holes, I have another strip. What I'm going to do is just lay this across the top, line up the holes. So I'm coming across here. This is one side where the notch is. I want it to come across the center. So I'm going to put line up the two holes here, so I have a bit of an arc here. I'll just take that off. And these ones I'll put in the center. Now I have my two holes to drill. Now this is thick, very thick at the bottom here. I just smeared my holes. No worries. Do the same thing on the bottom. So mine's going to be hanging. One, two. So that's going to be 99, 100. 1 and 2, 99, 100. The other thing I'm going to do while I'm here is also number, so I know when I go to push the pixels in. This is I made this in Excel just so I know where all the numbers are. So I'm starting at 1 and 2 on the top. Everything inside the yellow is the top half, everything on the outside is the bottom half. So I have 1, 2, 3, starts the top ring, all the way around to 18, 19, 34, 35 to 50. So I got 50 pixels in the top. Another 48 here, and then the other two on the bottom. So that'll be 50 on the bottom. I did it this way because you need to have the 50 pixels in the top, 50 pixels in the bottom, then put the two halves together. You can't have it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8 going to the bottom. So that's why I have this like this. So I'll have this here for a second. So I'm going to have 1 and 2 here. 3 is going to be right below that, so this is going to be 3. Come all the way around, this is going to be 18. I'm going to go down to the next one. This is going to be 19. Come around to 34. And then come down here, this is going to be 35. And that's going to be 50. Let's put a little arrow down for the next half. And this is going to go like this. This is going to sit on top. So following the path, line these up. You see your columns line up going around. And so this one's going to be 51. Thank you. This is 51. It's gonna be 51, 66, 67. Alright, so I can do this from this point. 67. And you can always wipe this off if you wanted to. You're really not going to see it. Maybe on the green you might, but the blue and the red you won't. 67, 83. So this is 82. And that's 98, 99. Well, this is 99 and 100. I just had it backwards. So it'll come around 51, 67, 83, 99, 100. And I have that modeled in X-Lights like that so it knows where all the pixels are. So that's just going to help me when I go to push the pixels. When I finish drilling the holes in the top and the bottom. So I have my marks. This is going to be the hardest part to drill because it is 2 to 3 times as thick. So this is like 1/8 of an inch. This is a 1/4 inch up at the bottom. This one's too small. That one's the right size. I also want to, for the bottom and the top like this, I'm going to go in from the inside and give it a little bevel as well. Make sure the pixel fits through. Alright, so that's the bottom. This is the top. Everything's lined up there. Having trouble seeing my line. I feel like this is all burned off. So, like I said, from the top side and the underside. And I have that feeling when it sinks to the next step that I know where it's at. So, those are going to fit fine. Alright. Now I am going to use that 5/16 inch bit. Because in the bottom, wherever you have this sitting, unless it's going to be on the inside of your house, put that over. That's the bottom, that's the top. There's going to get water in there. You're going to want to have the water not sit in the bottom of this. So you're going to want to drill some holes in the bottom. And when you get one of these bowls, you feel this is not the bottom. The groove here is the bottom, is the lowest point, because it actually dips down and then comes back up. So I'm going to drill 3 or 4 holes in this groove between where the pixels go and the ridge. Now the other question you got to ask yourself is, how do you want your connectors to come in? I have array connectors. These are 12 volts. I've got my connectors. How am I going to get them in and out? If you don't have your connectors on yet and you want to solder them on after, you can fish your wire through and create a hole, top or bottom, depends on how you're going to wire them up, and then solder your end on. You can drill a hole as big as the one that you need to get the ends in and out somewhere wherever you need to have that done. But the one thing that I do, it's progressed. The first one I cracked in 2 spots, so that's what I used to bring these in and out on the side. The second one I made, I decided to make a hole to have the in and out come in. And this actually reaches from here to pixel 100 and from here to pixel 1. So it's got the length, and that's about as far as it goes. It gives me enough to hook up what I need. And the only problem with this is if the wires are hooked to the back and it's hanging a certain way, it could, pull your ball backwards, so it'll be lopsided. You'll have to take that into consideration if you do it this way. So, on my bottom half, I find the back, and this is the front where I've put the numbers, so the back side is here. I'm going to drill. I meant to keep the step bit in for that. I'm going to drill into the back so I can bring my pigtails in and out. So I'm just going to come up. I can't really show this on video here too well because I need the edge of the table. I can start it, but I'll pull it back so I can do the rest of it off the edge of the table. It's very fragile down at the bottom here, so I don't want to push too hard. So I'm starting to grab the towel. I don't want to do that. Alright, so here I have my hole, and my wires are going to go in and out right here and hang in there. It covers it up, they're not going to go anywhere. So that's my design, that's how I do it. However you want to do it is up to you. This is just a general guide, I'm just showing you how I'm doing this. That would be the other side. Another thing we want to do here, make some marks. Again, you want to do a lot of this without the lights in it because you don't have all the weight. You have everything lined up the way you want it. I'm going to make a couple marks, 4 marks. I have one here, one here. Basically, I'm lining up. I'm going to put zip ties in these areas to keep it together. Plus it helps you line it up at the end. So back to the 5/16 drill bit. I really did have an order of this and got sidetracked. Alright, so I'm going to drill my Alright, so I have my holes for where my zip ties are going to go. Notch, notch. These should go together here. Alright, so my zip ties are going to go in these holes right here. Hold it in 4 places. Alright, so also another hole I'm drilling is for my hook, so I can mount this or hang this. So I have I believe this is 3/16. Let's have that right in the center. Put a little caulk there if I need to, but like I said, I have the holes in case water does get in there. I can also put one of the grommets in there and make the hole bigger. Put a grommet in it. So I'll put this on. So I can hang that. Simple. Some of them I may use the U-bolts, depending on how I might hang it on some pipe. But nice to have that drilled now. I can actually stick that in later if I wanted to, but it would be a little harder with all the pixels in here because you're going to have all the wires to get around. So I'll leave this here. If it gives me trouble while I'm trying to do this, I'll pull it out. Alright, so at this point, we're ready to push pixels. I've unraveled and tested the pixels, so now it's time to put them in. So I'll start with number 1. And I'm OCD, I like to have all my wires untangled. Alright, so I got 1, 2, and 3. 4 is going to go here around 18. Actually, before I do this, I'm going to clean up. You saw the acrylic flying when I was drilling, so it is everywhere. That's why you hear the scratching and crunching on the floor. So be aware you'll be doing some cleanup afterwards. And if the hole's too small, have your step bit in. Get the room to get in there. Well, a couple of them are a little too small here. And there's your first row. So I'm going to go from 18 to 19. Yeah, so I got a couple that are a little loose. I'm gonna hot glue gun them after. Moving on. Alright, so that's pixel 50. So that's the top half. Looks like Doc Brown's helmet when he meets Marty in the 50s. But we're going to move on to the bottom half. Now, one thing I did not show when the top and the bottom sit together, they like to slide. So even when you have your zip ties in, it may off shift. It's not really going to affect the way the pixels look. It's just going to create that gap, you know, where they're not actually sitting on top of each other. It's very hard to keep them on top of each other because it's not perfectly where they're going to notch into each other. So what I took hot glue gun and craft sticks. If you take these, you give them a little bend without breaking them, and some of them just break right away, which isn't a problem because we really only need half of it anyway. So what I'm going to do is, where I have I'm going to be putting the zip ties, kitty corner of those, I'm going to be putting this here. And basically what that's going to do is just kind of give it a little lip to hold on to, so that when I put the top on top of the bottom, it will not slide off easily or just shift easily. So let me plug in the hot glue gun, get that heated up. We'll do that before we push the other 50 pixels. It could be done at the end too. You can see in the top there's plenty of room to do that. So I'm going to do it right now. That way it gives it time to dry before I start pushing on it. Alright. So I'm just going to put a dab of glue on here. Take my half craft stick. Get stuck on there, and then just, like I said, just a little bit of a bevel. It doesn't really help, my skin color is the same as the damn thing. But it will help line it up. And just kind of keep it from slipping too much. It still does, but not as bad as the first couple I did without it. And remember, you don't want to put these where your zip ties are going to go. Alright, back to pushing the pixels. start at 100. With my groove over here, I'll just lay that in there. Okay, so looking at this, you got 98, 99, 100, so that's 100. Alright, so that's the bottom row. So I went 98, 9. Alright. So 83, 82. And get rid of that twist in the last pixel there. These two together right here. Pixel 51. And that's 100 pixels pushed. I'm going to fix my end here so it comes out over here through my notch. And then this one, when I put it on top, will also come out that notch. So I need to have that ready to go. Alright, so line these up. We've got a number system on the front, so we'll line up using that. And then we have our marks, and we have our sticks. Make sure you have your leads coming in and out. All right. Line up your zip tie holes and grab a couple zip ties. And you're going to have to lift it. I usually not put this to the first notch. Then we have room to maneuver on the others. And some of these are loose, so I'm going to use some glue, hot glue on these. I'll do that after. For now, I'm just going to finish this up. I have to get back in there, I just cut the zip ties and do what I need to do. Line back up your sticks. I made the sticks a little too short, so it keeps popping off the edges. I had it before. There we go. Alright, so now go back and tighten up the zip ties. Take them off. There you go, you got your leads in and out. And there's your Corona ball.
Alright, so here we are in X-Lights doing the modeling for the spheres. On my controller layout, I'm going to be putting them on the F8. And under layout, I have set up 3 spheres, actually 4. This is the original sphere that I set up using the 3D sphere. I believe that's create a new sphere here. So I created a new sphere with the number of strings and the nodes. And then I exported this as a custom model and then re-imported as a model. And so now I have these called sphere 1, 2, and 3. But under the spheres, I imported them as a custom model because I want to be able to edit. There we go. So if you've ever done a 3D model, this is what the screen looks like. And so each layer, I believe there's 32 layers, 33. So it's sliced 33 times and a height of 21 pixels, even though there's only 8 high. It's just the way that they're spaced out. So each one of these screens, so right now it's pixel 35. Let's get this in the right orientation here. All right. So this is the model sphere. Yes, it looks like a pumpkin. It's wider, but it does know what to do with this model. It's laid out exactly as the spheres are. There's 12 in each circle, 6 high, and then the 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. I have them set up next to each other because that's how I have them set up in this demonstration. So in the layout, I've got sphere 1, 2, and 3, and then I created a group called spheres. Put them all in that group. On my controller, on the F8B, I have 3 F8Bs. So on number 2, which I have set up as a tester next to my workbench, and the visualize. Well, oh, I know why. I'm outputting to light, so it's not going to work. Okay, let's try that again. Visualize. There we go. All right, so we have sphere 1, 2, and 3 connected to port 1, daisy chained to each other. That's all I have on this controller right now. So of course you want to upload the input, upload the output if you're using that function. And then in the Falcon player, if I reload the page, it's going to show me sphere 1, 2, and 3. I have them set at 30% brightness. So under the sequencer, I created a view called spheres just to put the spheres in. I have some test effects set up for each sphere. Nothing really layered at the moment, just some basics. Okay, so what I have here is some effects set up. This is basically just a standard single strand on the left sphere, bouncing from left. And this again is a single strand, runs to the middle, and I have it jump into each of the balls with different colors so you can see the effect going on each of them. These are 3 different effects. I have the single strand with the different band sizes, the garlands in the middle, and spirals on the right ball, just so you can get a feel and see how the effects look. I'm no great expert on effects and layering, so I don't have anything spectacular set up here, but I think it just makes it look really nice with the spheres. And then under group effect, I've got the galaxy, just changing colors amidst all 3 of them. You can see all 3 are, you got the blue on the left, red in the middle, sorry, orange in the middle, and the green on the right. And every now and then, depending on the color of the lights, you can tell the color of the sphere, but for the most part, you're not going to see the color at night.